Now on this one, I've got all my drums out here that have bushings in them. There's a bushing way down in the bottom of this, and which has to be lined up. It has to have this hole lined up in the right spot, and there is a top and a bottom to this. So when you cut bushings out, you really need to be careful that you're in which direction they're going out. Take a good look before you cut them out, and then if they have holes, sometimes they have to be lined up for the proper lube holes. If not, they will not properly lube and you will burn something up. Like this one here. It's really hard to see. Where's the new one? Here's the new one. As you can see on this new one, see how it's got little cutouts one way and the other side it doesn't? Well, you need to make sure you put that in the right way so it properly lubes. A lot of these, like these, doesn't matter which way they go in. Same with these. I'm going to show you how to cut these out properly, different techniques to cut them out. On most of the ones that you can press out in the press, I would recommend doing that. We'll do that one first. Those are the easiest ones, so we'll hurry and do those first. Okay, like I said, the best thing to do is push these out if you can. I'm going to put this up here so I can push it through here. This is the one that has slots, lube slots in the bottom, and it's solid around top, so you got to make sure you put your new bushing in the exact same way. You don't want to put it in backwards because that means it's not going to lube the proper direction. You need to make sure there's no holes. Some of these will have like a lube hole, so if you don't line them up and put them in properly, it's not going to get the lube and it's going to burn something up. So first one, we'll just press out. Just like that. Okay, cuts go down. The new one, you want to do the exact same thing, and the cuts go down. I have a little bit larger bushing driver here. I'm going to push this flush. That. Bushing properly put in now. It looks like we could go down just a little bit more. So I will put this back on here and put the one that fits it in, or fits in it, and we're going to countersink this just a hair countersink so it's in properly. Now after you put bushing in, you always want to take where this rides and you want to make sure it fits. You don't want to be putting it together and fight it because the new aftermarket bushing is a little bit bigger and won't let it go on. If your bushing is a little bit bigger, sometimes you have to find a different bushing, or you have to sand your bushing to get it to fit. This fits just right. If you put it on and it sticks as you spin it around, you can take a dead blow and lightly tap to help seat the bushing in so it spins really free and easy. Okay? Now when pushing bushings out of the shell, what you don't want to do is push it out this way without support, because what you can do is you can bend this down, and if you bend the shell, it's not going to properly work. So if you want to press these down like this, you can set it on top of something so it has support, so it does not bend them. You can find something smaller if you need to that fits, like right here. Like I believe I've got a E4OD center support bearing or race. I can set that right on there. That gives me good support here. These will fit right down in here so I don't get I won't be pressing it into something else. And we'll press these all the way through. Now if you notice, you want to notice how far down these go so you get them in the right height when you push them back in. Oh, I thought I had it all the way through. Oh, a little bit more. Well, we'll leave this one here. We want to push this top one in first, put it down to the right height. I always start with a bigger one. Help start it. Sometimes, if you don't use a bigger one, you're using the one that actually fits. This is the old one. What'll happen is sometimes it'll pop, maybe. Sometimes when you press it in, it'll pop and spread your bushing and it'll ruin your bushing. So I always put them in with the bigger one first and then countersink them to the proper depth. Just like so. Now when we turn this over, we don't need to have this because the sun gear is sitting directly on the plate. Again, I'll use my bigger one. Start it. And then to countersink it, it's stuck. Okay, what happens is sometimes this outer part that's the lip of the bushing that's pushing the bushing down. Oh, it's on this side. That's pushing the bushing. Sometimes that gets stuck inside here, and you have to press it back out. Again, we will test fit this to make sure it spins. Now you see that's a little tight. It doesn't spin properly. Just lightly tap. Much better. Now it's spinning around. All right. Again, pushing through. 16. Now on Ford pump bushing, what they do is they have this little valley, this little groove in the bushing. What this does is it helps take the fluid from out here and keeps this bushing lubed. Excuse me, it takes the fluid from the pump side of here and keeps the bushing lubed. You need to put this in the right spot every time. Fords have it, GMs don't, some of the Dodges do not, but you need to put this in the right spot at every time. This little gouge goes right at the end of that valley right there. So as it's pumping fluid, it's pushing fluid down this bushing so it properly lubes the front bushing. Most Fords have these little notches here, and we need to bend this over so the bushing won't spin. They usually don't. Let me get a closer look so you can see how this valley is right even with this. That's the proper way it should be put in. And you just take a punch and just tap it just a little bit. Tap it a little bit like that, just to bend it in so it keeps it in place. While I'm here, I'm going to put the seal in. Now with some bushings you got to actually cut out. I have a couple of different styles here. You can kind of see how they are. You can make your own different style of bushing cutters, whatever kind you want. These are hand ones. I do have a pneumatic one that's on my gun. You can get these as a chisel style that don't, so you don't put them on your gun. I've been doing this a long time. I'm very comfortable using my gun. I'm not going to do it today, so I can show you how to get these out without this. And I'll kind of show you some tricks and things to look for to get these out easier. Now on most bushings, or I should say on all bushings unless they're lathe cut, they all go together some way. They're flat, they roll them over, and they lock them in place with each other. What I try to do is find where this joint is and use my punch and punch on one side and pop it apart, and it usually gets them out a lot faster. I'll see if I can find this one. This should be pretty easy. You can see it right here, right where it comes together. So we're going to try to chisel right here and see if we can get this to pop apart. So I put my bit right there and tap it. Yep. Just like that, and then just like that, and with it broken, it comes right out. Now if you notice, this one has holes. Well, we got to line up the holes with these lube holes. So we have to watch this when we put this back together. Okay? Now there's another one on the bottom side. You could punch this out, but in the very, very bottom, there's a thrust wash, or there's a thrust washer assembly, a Torrington bearing assembly. And if you push the bushing through, you're going to break this bearing. So you have to go this way through it. What I do is I take this and just try to right on the edge and see if I can knock it out the back side. If I can hang on to my punch. Alright. Turn over. I didn't even try it, but I got almost right next to that. I took that one right out. Now this one down here is a lot harder. As you can see, it has holes that have to be lined up. And if you notice, I think you can see it, there's a notch in the bushing there, and there's a notch right there. So the notches go out on this. What I'm going to try to do is, if I can see on here where this one's put together, you can see right here, hopefully. That should give me a good idea where that one is, and I'll see if I can find that. Looks to me like it's right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on something solid. I'll just set this on top of the bushing, drive it right there, and I'll see if I can cut that bushing right next to it. Doesn't want to give it back, but you can see that I am starting to cut it in half where the joint is together. Now when you get it like this, sometimes you can turn it over and take a screwdriver and knock it through. Let's see. Sometimes easier said than done, huh? See, I can't get a hold of it with that. I can with this, though. And there it is. Got that one out. Now remember, these point out. And then we have to line up the holes with the holes in here, or it won't properly lube and it'll fry it fast. So, wipe this out really good, and I'll set this bushing the direction it needs to go, and I'll press that in a minute. Again, try to find the let's see, this one you really can't tell. Yeah, I think I see it right here. Yeah, I actually got it. I was lucky. Right out it came. Wipe this out real quick. Set all these up. One down the bottom there, one on the top. Top one's fairly easy. You can see it's got big grooves here. I even got it where I was supposed to. I didn't even try. The screwdriver will take it out. Let's see if we can get it to break the rest of the way. Just out like that. The bottom one, this is the top one, this is the bottom one, and it's got a groove that goes back around to itself. Same with the back drum, these little notches go up. Because you can see the notch, well it's kind of hard, there's a notch. See if I can cut this one out the same way. Find the edge. Found the edge again. Much easier than trying to cut the bushing in half. Sometimes you can't see it and you do end up having to cut the bushing in half. Now on the drum, he has a new, he wanted the updated style, so we've got a complete new drum, which has got new bushings in it. So I'm going to show you how to cut these out and put them in. I will put the bushings in, and I'll keep this drum as a backup for somebody else who needs it. Again, I'm not going to try to find it. Let's just cut it out so you guys can see. Don't find it. Now see, I damaged that. If you see, right there, I damaged that, taking that out. You need to be really careful with your chisel because you will cause damage. I'm going to show you how to fix this. Okay. Now this bottom one we could have just pressed out, but I'm just going to knock it down. Okay. Bushings are all out. Now I got all the bushings out. First I want to show you how I knocked this and damaged this area here. I'm going to show you how to fix this. So if you do this, you'll be able to fix it and not have to replace your drum. Even though I'm not putting this drum in, we're putting a new one in. I want to show you how to fix this in case you damage anything. A lot of the ones I've been taking out of these are hardened steel and don't get damaged very easily. Some trannies have extremely soft, some are pushed in aluminum, and you got to be very, very careful when you're knocking these bushings out that you don't screw anything up. So let me show you how to fix this. Okay, as you can see where my chisel hit, right there. What I have is a drill with, you can get these different stones. Some are tapered, some are pointed like that. What you want to do is carefully smooth this out until there is no burr left. Change tips, see if I can get a little bit better on this. There we go, smooth. I'll take a little sandpaper with that. Okay, what you want is it smooth, especially on this, like the bushing sits above this, but this helps push the rings in for the pump for this drum to seal the hole to apply it. There'll be a ring up here and a ring down here, so you need to make sure this is really smooth, and you don't want that part to catch it. This is nice and smooth now, can't even feel it. So I should be really good there. Get the bushings pressed into this. Now I'm ready to go in. I always use an arbor press. You should never really take a bushing driver and a hammer and knock them in. The only time you have to do that's for case bushings. I'll show you that on the case one when I replace that. With most of them, like I say, I like to put a bigger one in first, or on top first. Most of them to help push them down so you don't split the bushing in half and then countersink them. This one went down about that far. Now if you remember right, these two are up, so the lube can go that way. This one doesn't have to have a hole, or doesn't have a hole, so we don't have to worry about which direction it goes. And we're gonna have to put this like that, so I can put that on top. Let's see, a little bit more. Just like that. And like I always say, test fit them to make sure they fit nice and easy. Looking good. With the sun gear, again, you don't have to line this one up. There's no holes or anything. Press these down. Countersink it. You always got to remember or watch how deep these things were when you cut them out. Just make sure you put them back in the right depth. This one fits on this drum. Even though we are replacing the drum with it, like I said, we're replacing this old style with the newer style. I'm still going to put bushings in this for you. This one is just flush, like that. And this one will be just a little bit countersunk. But again, I'll start with a bigger bushing driver. So I don't split the bushing in half. Try and push it in. Countersink it just a little bit. And then this rides on the back of the pump. Just like that. And boy, it's nice. It's nice and tight. Now with the rear planet, the one in back that we couldn't push through because it has a Torrington bearing, that one is just a push in and just countersink a little bit. Wow, this is being tough. A lot of people ask if you need to lube the bushings. You don't really need to lube them. That's a tight bushing. Wrong one. This one's going to countersink it just a little bit. Just like that. Again, this one rides on here. If you do want to put lube on it, you can. I would take like a little ATF and just barely put ATF around these to put them in if it makes you feel better. Now with this one, as I said, you can see we have a hole here. There's a hole here. See if I can get a little bit closer. Now you can see there's a hole. It goes all the way through, and here's the other side of this hole from this side. This have to line up. If you notice, top and bottom are different sizes, or the top and bottom is different thicknesses. Okay, Top is short, bottom is longer, so you need to make sure you put this in the right direction and you get all the holes lined up. Because if you don't, the lube that's here won't get into this bearing, won't get into the rear planet, and you will burn your planet up fast. Countersink, or put this in and we'll countersink it. Just a hair. I don't have one that fits this. On most bushing sets or bushing kits, you will not get, in a bushing kit, you will not get bushing drivers that will fit every bushing that you get. Sometimes you're going to have to be creative. And you need to make sure that it lines up. I can still see that I'm hitting the bushing, so I need to go down a little bit more. Always check. See, all the way in. Look at it. Looks like we could go down just a little bit more. There. Both of them through nice. Now on this, you can test fit this bushing on here. And then this bushing rides on this sun gear, so we'll test that. It looks like just a little tight. So again, just a little tight there. So again, we're going to take our mallet and lightly tap. And look at that, nice and free. We have one more, and that's the drum. This is probably the hardest one to put in because it's so deep inside the drum. Remember, the cuts go up, but we have to make sure these holes line up with the holes that are inside for the lube. And these are tiny, tiny, tiny little holes right there. But if you don't get this lined up properly, lube won't get through there and you'll burn up your rear planet. What I like to do is get a flashlight, make sure I can see the hole, and not drop the bushing on the floor. And, you know, drop that into place, line the bushing up with the hole at the bottom. See if I can give you a shot of that. If you see there, see the little hole down below it and the hole in the bushing, make sure it's all lined up pretty, and we'll push it in. Looks like it's a little off. I'll put the camera back up and readjust that. Alright, got my bushing readjusted. Now I'm going to press this down. A little bit more. I can put my flashlight in there and I can see the hole through the bushing, so we got it lined up right. Now on this one, it sits on the rear output right there. Spins nice, so we're good there. Now my last bushing I got to replace is the one in the bottom of the case. It is kind of hard to get to cut it out, but we're going to try, take my chisel, see if I can get this taken out. Kind of hard to see where it breaks. It might be right there. Hey, look at that, I found it. And get this screwdriver behind that. Awesome. There you go. All right, wipe it out. This is the only one you have to hammer in. I don't like hammering anything in, but sometimes you don't have a choice. As you can hear, it's all the way down. There's that bushing in. What we want to do is the output shaft. What we want to do is check it. This is the output shaft. That's the bushing. That's where the bushing rides. We want to make sure it goes in and turns nice and easy. It's a little stiff. So just like before, what I'll do is I'll take a mallet and tap the bottom of it so it spins nice and easy. And we're good to go. Okay, as you can see, I've got everything laid out here. I got my kit laid out. We just got done putting the bushings in it. My paper and rubber kit. There's all the rubber. Paper's up on the wall. Like I said, I'm doing this for a rock crawler. We're putting blue plate stills in it, or blue plate clutches in it with Crolene stills. These are high performance clutches. They're quite a bit more than a stock transmission. They're for racing and climbing and stuff. So with the Crolene stills and these clutches, they would grip very, very well. So I wanted to show you everything. We've got brand new solenoids. I got my EPC around here somewhere. The spring that was broke, got a new one for that. Both pistons, because these are rubber and these are, you can't replace the seals on these, so you might as well put new ones in it while you're at it. I have a new style or updated snap ring for the direct drum. I'll do that. I'll go through that a little bit more once we get there. I'll put all these off to the side, and I'll put some Teflon snap rings in, or Teflon rings in, and then we'll polish some drums for the bands, and we'll go from there. Now on the forward drum, there's two grooves. We took out two Teflon rings. These are solid rings. We need to replace these. I believe they do have a tool. I do not have the tool. I don't do these enough to warrant buying the tool. So I'll kind of show you how I put them on. Make it a little bit closer. What I do is I take my pick and carefully work it around. Try not to distort the seal too much. We'll start with the bottom one. You always start with the furthest one down on the shaft when you're doing Teflon rings. Now we got that down. What I'm going to do is try to get it as much as I can collapsed with my fingers. Now, like I said, I do not have the tool for this, but I do have this. This is for the 4L80E input shaft, the bigger side. This works on these. So we'll see if we can get them straight. This takes a little bit of maneuvering, and we got it on. And that'll size it down. We'll put the other ring on. Like I've always said with all my other tranny videos, don't ever scarf cut these. If they're solid rings, don't cut them and put them on. You need to size them down. If you do it wrong, you're gonna have serious problems. You'll burn up your drum really fast. So, all right, we'll put that on there. We'll set it to the side, and we'll polish our drums. Now I'm gonna polish my drums. If you noticed, I've got an extra one here now. The stock one, which is this, came with this style of roller clutch on the back side of it for the sprag. That and the race, that's the style it had on it. The guy wanted to update it, so we went to the ratcheting style. People like these a lot better. Some people do, some people don't. It's up to you which way you go. I'm not going to tell you any way, shape, or form which way. So I'm changing it out. He's got a reconditioned drum here. It's already polished. I don't have to do that, but I will polish this one to show you what needs to happen. And then when I put it together, I'll show you the updated snap ring for this. And then we'll polish the drum, the rear planet for the rear band. So both surfaces have nice, clean mating areas. Okay, I got my direct drum on there. I'm going to start with this is 80 grit. Whenever you do this, you want to keep your fingers away from the lugs because they will hurt. It will take chunks of your fingers. Carefully stand this back and forth. You want to get a nice good cross hatch on them. Now to go a little bit finer, this is 280 grit. And then we use a little Scotch-Brite and polish it up. Now, as you can see, that's got a brand new surface on it. It's just like the remanufactured ones they do. In fact, that's about all they do for remanufactured drums. They do that and put new bushings in it. So it's better to just clean them up yourself every time you do it. I'll get the rear planet now and put that on there and get it going. Stand back. There we go. And we'll do the same thing. Grit. 120. Gotta watch it, keep your fingers away. Now we'll go 280. Now Scotch-Brite. All right, there we go, nice and clean. Get on the bench, we'll start putting our drums together. Okay, I'm going to put the pump together before I start putting my drums. I've already got the bushing and the seal in this. Get that set right there. Put a little ATF, as always, with your squirt bottle. Hopefully you got a squirt bottle soon, or now. Now on your pump gears, you want to make sure check for damages here. You see how there's no damage here. These are nice and smooth. They look brand new. You want to check for wear on the end of these, so they rub here. They will get extreme wear. They look like you've sat and scratched them across. They get, and it doesn't pump as properly. So if those are bad, replace that. And if you see, this is the front side. This goes out. That's where your converter will come in. This is the back side. So we'll put these down like so. And double check. This part goes out. And I'll put a little ATF right on top. Now before I put my stator in, I'm going to put the intermediate clutch piston in. We'll get our lip seals put on. Outer and inner seal. As I said, the FAR 75 has a molded bonded piston, which you will replace when you do this. Or I should say you should replace when you do this and never reuse a bonded piston. A little lube. And we'll put it in now. When you're installing these, if you look, this is the bottom. This goes in the bottom of the tranny. This is where it picks up fluid from the pan. This is the top. Now on your piston, if you look, you've got a little teeny hole, which is a release hole. That needs to go up top. If you have it down at the bottom, after you've come out of second gear, the fluid will leak completely out of here and you'll have a delay going into second gear. So this hole needs to be up top. So when it's in the vehicle, it's sitting just like this, okay? So I got my hole right at the top, and we'll get the lip seal tool and install the lip seals. Take your time on these if you're not familiar with them. You can get okay lip seal tools. They give them away, you know, or you can buy them. It's all up to you what you want. I've made my own special one. And this is usually the one I use all the time. Can't find anybody to manufacture it. I got a poor man's patent on it. So, but I still can't find anybody to manufacture these. Sometimes these can be a real pain, and it's a little cool today. And when it's colder, it's always a little harder to get seals to go in and cooperate. All right, just like so. All right. My hole's still at the top, opposite of these. We'll get our retaining ring. Now on our retaining ring, these latch onto the little edge that's right around here. You want to make sure that they're straight down. Sometimes when you take them off, you'll bend them out a little bit. If you need to, bend them back straight again. Bend them back straight again if you need to. You can just take it and bend it just a little bit. You want to make sure that it's got a good grip on the edge of your pump. You don't want to overdo it. Okay. Put that in. Now we'll put our pump in, we'll line our holes up, put our stator on, and we'll get our bolts. There's 5 on this one. Now, just like anything, never use a gun, pneumatic gun or electric gun to put these down. Do this by hand and then torque them to specs. Most pneumatic and electric guns, or I should say all pneumatic and electric guns, will over tighten these. And that's just something you not want to do with a pump or anything really. These get torqued to 16 foot-pounds. And we'll do a start pad on it. Hopefully you can hear it clicking. It is kind of quiet since it's so low. Really bad angle. One. Okay, double check them quick. All right. After you do that, what I always do is I turn it back over. I wish I had a hub, but I don't have a hub that will fit it. So what I do is carefully take scribe and go down here, make sure my pump gears turn around, because it's not fun, just like so. It's not fun to put it together, get it ready to go in, and the pump doesn't turn because it's got a little debris in there somewhere. We'll put on the seals. I'm going to put just a little bit of tack lube on this to hold it in place for a minute. We're going to double check the height when we put it in, before we put it in the tranny. But I want to keep this in place. Now this has got 4 sealing rings. The direct and the forward, they're both locking rings. They interlock with each other. Put the directs on first. These are probably the hardest sealing rings to get to clip. They really have a hard time going around. I've done a few of them. I've got it down to a neck, but sometimes they're really hard to get them to latch. Oh, I got lucky on those. And then the forwards. Just like so. Great. All right. Pumps together. I'll put my O-ring on just before I put it in the car. I'll set that aside and I'll do my drums.